Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Star Wars Visions Volume 3. There are some things you can believe in, even if you can't see them. Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. My name is Nate, and this is our spoiler-free review for Star Wars Visions Volume 3. A huge galactic-sized thanks to our friends at Disney Studios Canada and Lucasfilm for letting us watch this series early for review. If you're joining us for the first time, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, games, and all things geek-centric and all things Star Wars. Today, I'm joined by my fellow Star Wars lovers, animation lovers. They love to love. First up, the Force is with him, no matter what style he's drawn in. He's Justin, the Japan-loving, luminous lightsaber-lifting, light-side Lawrence.
I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
Is it now?
That's what I'm going to say to that.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I felt like that character might have been a little more middle-leaning light than dark, but if
he was definitely in the gray.
Yeah, he was in the gray.
In the gray. Yeah.
And you can hear him already. He's breathing through his mechanical voice box. He's an anime dude. I was going to say weeb. I don't know if that's offensive. An anime dude who's always down to duel while shouting dank Ferric. He's Darcy, the determined but dark-sided Jedi hunting Hudson.
I feel like these get longer every time you go. Jeez.
I know. He's challenging himself each time.
I wanted to see how many I could get in. I needed to get the dank Ferric in there.
Sure, you got to get the dank. I feel like the dank is goes without saying for Darce. If I were to like peg Darcy for a character, I think he'd be a droid. Have we talked about this?
I think
he'd be a type of a droid.
I like that.
Do you think
I'd be okay with that.
Darce?
I'm a huge fan of droids, so
yeah. I don't know who I'd be. I
mean, you're tall, so I always thought of you as like a C-3PO like. But you're right. Maybe you'd be more of like a Chewbacca, a Wookiee?
Nah, well, I guess because I have problems speaking sometimes, maybe.
I would let you both in my bar. I'll let you know that.
Oh, okay, so you'd be a
my
cantina
diner
slinger?
Dude, no, can I be Dexter Jexter?
You already got it. You
Let's
got
go.
the wife beater and everything for
Let's
it.
go.
Right?
Sounds great. How are you two doing? I'm happy to talk Star Wars. Happy to talk Star Wars animation yet again here with Star Wars Visions. It's always a good time talking about Star Wars animation on the Geekcentric podcast. There is a lot to go through, so let me get to the synopsis for this season. Star Wars Visions returns to Disney Plus for a third installment. The award-winning anthology of animated short films celebrates the mythology of Star Wars through unique cultural lenses. Star Wars Visions Volume 3 features 9 shorts from 9 different anime studios: David Production, Kamikaze Duga, Plus Anima, Kinema Citrus, Polygon Pictures, Production IG, Project Studio Q, Trigger, and Wit Studio, to further demonstrate the diversity and creativity of Japanese animation. All 9 episodes of Star Wars Visions Volume 3 are available to stream on Disney Plus October 29th, 2025, which is today, if you're listening to this at the time we've released it. You can catch all 9 episodes either in the original Japanese with subtitles or in English with a separate English dub cast featuring a ton of returning and new surprise voices. But let's get into this. Let's talk about this Volume 3. Let's talk about the look and feel. I think this incredible series has already given us so much when it comes to look and feel. Volume 1 started with all the Japanese studios in anime specifically. Volume 2, we then take a trip around the world with studios from Spain, Ireland, Chile, United Kingdom, South Korea, France, India, South Africa, and Japan. And now with Volume 3, I wanted to kind of get both of your perspective on this to kick things off. We're just back with the Japanese studios. They're bringing it back to anime. What did you think of this volume coming back to a focus on anime?
As a big anime fan, I was stoked to be getting more of these, amazing anime studios doing Star Wars. And it was really cool because I feel like this time around, We kind of got to delve a bit more into the different genres of anime and different styles where they aren't all high intense action stories. Some of them are a bit more laid back, kind of slice of life things, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, it's anime and Star Wars to me. It's a match made in heaven. So I'm always happy if we get more of this.
Hmm. Yeah, I think going back to full anime focus this season feels like the right creative choice. Like the range of animation styles in Vision season 3, it just continues to highlight the diversity and the artistry of each studio involved. And every short feels distinct yet unified in how they embrace the unique qualities of the anime genre.
Hmm.
And I think, like some lean into the traditional hand-drawn techniques while others experiment with more modern, tech-forward, stylized visuals. But they are all delivering bold, visually stunning pieces of art with really deep stories. And it all comes together to feel like such a celebration of Star Wars and how it can look and feel different without losing its soul. And I think every frame is just so lovingly crafted with a deep expression. And to go back to Japanese animation and the relationship that Star Wars has with Japanese culture, it just feels like a perfect marriage between the two, for storytelling and for really deep storytelling. Like there's a methodology, there's an ideology around the storytelling within Japanese anime that this series, this volume again taps into, that really does highlight how that marriage between Star Wars and Japanese culture. It's beautiful. It's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, it was incredible to be in Japan when we got to see these studios being announced to be
Mhm.
coming back. We got to sit in on the panel and got to see some of the different creators up on stage. And I think I think some people might look at this going back to anime specifically from sort of the much broader range of different styles we had in Volume 2, and there might be a worry that we're kind of going to get a lot of the same this season. But I think both of you highlighted it excellently. They're so different in their styles. I love like the sketch style of Kamikaze Duga and Anima with the dual payback episode. The style is so just incredible, and I wanted to highlight a moment in that episode. I believe it's the first episode. We might be, just for a quick thing overall, we might say episode 1, 2, 3, or 4 or whatever, and it might be different sometimes when we get these screeners. They're a little bit different in the order of them. But for us, episode 1, the dual payback, there's a moment where the antagonist of the episode has these lightning fast movements, and the way they use impact frames to show those movements, where you see the character split into separate line drawings, the effect is just jaw-droppingly cool. Like, I
Mhm.
can't think of it any other way other than it's just so cool to see on screen, to see in Star Wars, and to see these characters explored in this specific version of this medium. And I love how the colors pop as well. Like, I think of the episode The Lost Ones by Cinema Citrus, or the way the eyes are drawn in The Smuggler by Trigger, where it almost looks like you could dive into the depth of how deep
Mhm.
those eyes go. And it's just such a, again, like you said, Justin, there's such a broad range of styles between all these different studios that at first, while I was a little sort of disappointed to be moving away from what I remember in Volume 2 of kind of going all crazy, like all over the globe, I do really appreciate how different these studios are able to take this.
Yeah, and I also think, like, as you're pointing out, there are differences between the animation styles. I do think, though, and not to sound like, pushing my glasses up, but like we're season animated, and I think anime to a certain degree watchers. And I think we can recognize stylistically some of the variations that we get in each of these shorts. I do think that on certain episodes and the way they kind of play after one another, again, based on the ordering, they might fall into the same camp of feeling the same for some for like maybe more of a general audience. But I think the importance is how that style is married with the story. You know, you called out The Smuggler, and like this sort of Indiana Jones fun adventure, and the style perfectly is perfect for that in the way it embraces it. Or one of my favorites, I have a lot of favorites, but like, you know, Project Studio Q's like this Song of Four Wings, like this sort of hyper anime cyberpunk style infused in a Star Wars story was so energetic, and it felt entirely different. But I could see how some of the art, like some of the line work and some of the detailing and stuff, is very similar to some of these other shorts. It might just seem like one, but there's something really interesting about that as well. The sort of the sense of slight harmony and unity that these kind of bring together in their artistic style, while also, you know, pushing the boundaries of Star Wars storytelling.
Well, and I want to tee something up for Darcy as well, and I think we can both chew on this really quickly. But I will just say there is an episode this season that is unlike not just anything I've seen in Star Wars, but maybe in like animation overall in general.
You've
It's
never
an
seen an experimental animation film?
maybe we just haven't as much, but at least especially
Oh,
from
I
Star
definitely
Wars.
have.
I
Yeah.
have as
I've seen
well.
stuff
I've
like
seen a
this before.
lot.
Yeah. YouTube is a fantastic place for some incredible short animated films. I will say that much. Like,
Yeah, it definitely is. I think, and we're talking about the episode called Black, which is, yeah, it is a psychedelic trip. It is funky as fuck, right? And
mhm.
it's got some great beats, and it is deep. Like, it is a deep story. And I really thought that was like, that was a bold swing to do something like that, that feels more again, experimental, artistic, intentional with the way it's very stylized, but then also the way it's juxtaposed with jazz music. Or, you know, what's the new word for Star Wars jazz? Is not jizz anymore. What is it? It's
Jazz.
Jats.
jazz.
I
Yeah,
think it. You
it's
know
like
what?
a
It
jazz
reminded me.
music score.
It also reminded me a lot of like music out of Louisiana. And it's just so weird to sort of think about that when we're talking about Star Wars, but also the way that they were able to your point, like, sure, maybe you guys have seen these experimental art films, but to do that with Star Wars is just something that I never ever would expect. And I think the way that they're able to bring this to an audience that might not necessarily be as familiar with it is impressive. And I think it's just crazy because the way that they use no dialogue, they use that music, and the way that the story can be interpreted in so many different ways. It's the closest thing to like modern abstract art that I can think of in the realm of Star Wars.
Hmm.
So I had to call that one out as well. And I know, Darcy, you and I were freaking out about that when we were trying not to talk about the show earlier tonight when we met up. But let's talk about the performances in this show. Some of the characters. There are some surprise voices. We're not going to go through all of them or spoil all of them. I'll throw it to you guys. Is there anyone that you want to highlight as a character or voice that stood out for you?
I think there was a massive, like, such a great mix of recognizable voices and just standout performances. But the one most unexpected one for me was Steve Buscemi in Yuko's Treasure. Like, I thought his character was pretty iconic. It was perfectly suited for him as an actor. I didn't fully like. I guess he was a pirate character, which feels kind of on par for what Steve Buscemi could kind of bring, right? Like, into the Star Wars fold, if you will. But yeah, I thought that was one that really stood out to me as being like very unexpected, but also like perfect.
Well, I haven't had a chance to listen to all the English dubs yet. I watched
Oh, okay.
Japanese subtitles first. That's always my route when it comes to anime. But what I think is so cool is, again, I don't know the actors' names, unfortunately, because I don't speak the language or can't read the language as well in the credits yet. But hearing the voices that I have heard across multiple anime shows from the last 5-10 years, video games from Japan, you can hear the voice cast and know it. Like, I know there's people from like I Parry Everything. One of the main characters, a voice character in this show, and stuff from like Ghibli movies. Like, there's people in the anime business are now dedicating their voices to this project, and it's so cool. Again, just picking up on these things and seeing like that's a voice I've heard in mainstream anime, and now they're doing a major character in a Star Wars thing. It's really cool. I love the fact that we're getting this chance to experience Star Wars through this lens again.
Well, and I love that you call that out from the standpoint of hearing it from anime. For me, it's also like I tried to watch a lot of them in the Japanese dub. There was an issue actually with my screeners where I was forced to watch a few of them in the Japanese dub, but I finally was able to get that resolved. But no, in the English dub, I really loved Karen Fukuhara in the Lost Ones. Karen Fukuhara, if you're a boys fan, is one of the most fantastic actors on that show, who we don't get to hear a ton of her voice in that show, and so I felt like this was so good. She brought a really great stoic energy to the character of F,
Mhm.
and really excellent emotion. And I think Asami Sato in the Japanese cast on the other side of the same episode was equally as stoic in her line delivery. And I think these women delivering perfectly written Jedi dialogue in that episode is what makes me want to see stories of F even more, and the entire group of the defected empire that she's found herself with. But I know for yourself, Darcy, you probably would have been stoked to hear Harvey Guilin in Yuko's Treasure,
Oh, who is he?
who is he's the bear. He's a bear droid, who
Oh,
is a medical droid. He's the one that's kind of
he
like the what's his name from Big Hero 6, Baymax.
yeah,
He's
he's
kind of like the
Billy.
Baymax.
Yeah,
Billy,
Billy.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
he was one of the characters that they introduced when they were bringing up the show at Celebration. When the director came out, he showed us a picture.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love Harvey Grant. The one I did watch one of them I did watch with the English dub was the what Ronnie Chang is the medical droid.
Oh yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that performance, like especially the two of them. The way the banter worked back and forth felt very much like an Andor and K2SO almost, except K2SO has a multiple personality disorder, which I loved. So that was a really fun performance for me. I will say that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like what was really cool about, because I watched them in English just for, I had to get through them quickly, so for ease and purpose, and there were some really great performances. And like you would know this, Darcy, because like you watch anime a lot, but there's a performance quality that goes into performing for voice acting for anime as an English actor, that needs to sort of match an energy and tonality
Yes.
of the original. And sometimes it might sound a little jarring, but like for Emma Myers in The Smuggler, for George Takei, just bringing such wisdom in The Birds of Paradise. And yeah, you called it, like Anna Sawai and Ronnie Chung from were just like you said, Darcy, were such an unexpected pairing, and they worked so well. And like
Hmm.
Ronnie's like split personality droid was like hilarious, and it was just so frigging cool. And I think they all just knew how to match their voices to the performances,
Hmm.
and deliver the same energy, and lean into the fact that they're doing voice work for anime. So things can kind of also range from feeling super longing and more paused, but then high intensity energy. Yeah, I thought like the English voice cast really committed to
Hmm.
doing the thing.
I remember the first season doing that very well, and I'm looking forward to taking the time to sit down with these dubs this time around.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch them in Japanese once they're released, and really get a sense of this, just again that echoing of performances between the
Mhm.
two.
And I would encourage anyone listening to do the same, right? Like don't just watch one or the other. Do watch both. And I think
Mhm.
doing that tells Disney, hey, we want more Star Wars visions, which I personally do. So do it. Do it. I do want to really quickly, just before we continue, I want to shout out one more voice actor. Julian Paz Fedorov plays a character named Sola. Who is in Yuko's Treasure? He's like a little pirate kid, and he is just this like scrappy little pirate kid. But when he yells, he has the most adorable voice crack I think I've ever heard out of a little animated character, and he does it a lot in this episode. He's so endearing in this role, and I think you can't just help but fall in love with all the characters, including the bad guys like Steve Buscemi in Yuko's Treasure. Let's talk about we're kind of, it's funny, we're talking about the performance, we're talking about the characters, but we all are also talking about some of the story elements, some of the things we loved. Let's get into talking about this series and how it approaches these stories, as well as how it approaches returning stories, because that was one of the big things that a lot of people popped off for at D23 was the fact that we've got some stories returning. Darcy, for yourself, are there any specific returning stories that you really enjoyed?
Well, again, getting to see more of the duel, that world is what blew me away the first season. That's one of the first episodes you watch, and here you are kicking off, at least for us, kicking off this season with the same animation style. It was wicked to return there. The Ninth Jedi, I did enjoy. It feels like a setup though, because they announced that it is getting its own miniseries. This one feels very much like it's coming again, and the fact that it ends in a to be continued. It's very much a don't just wait for more type thing. So it was a bit lackluster in that regard because I just want more now and I have to wait, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think, as we've been talking, what works for this season is the variety. Each short is just it's offering something new in terms of tone or emotion or just the visual style, but yet it's just authentically Star Wars. And as we were just talking about, like the performances, there's just heart, there's humor, and there's this overall blend of just Japanese storytelling with classic Star Wars themes like hope and balance and destiny, and it all remains very strong, like very strong in terms of storytelling. Um, you know, what's impressive about the idea of returning stories is just how like something like the duel payback can go deeper with kind of refining and focusing more on Ronin and just really like cementing him as like kind of like a new Star Wars staple that's kind of on the fringes of Star Wars, like that people are going to absolutely
I
love.
have
But
2 action figures of him already. You know what I
there
mean?
you go.
Like,
There you go. There you
yeah,
go. And
yeah.
like I'm with you, Darcy. I don't really understand the point of doing the Ninth Jedi story. I believe it's Ninth Jedi Child of Hope in this anthology series, because there's a new show, like a full series dedicated. It feels like a spot that could have maybe gone to another studio for maybe a new story, or if it's going back to that studio, maybe a new story. You know what I mean? I wonder if that spot could have been. But I did enjoy that episode, but it
Yeah.
did feel a little lackluster and whatnot. I wasn't crazy all too much about the some of the visuals in that story too, just the way the ships looked in comparison to that. And we were talking, I think Nate and I were talking about this offline, and that could be just something that certain anime studios do where it feels very 2D in the sense, or not 2D, sorry, just feels very retro visual
Yeah.
effects, like yeah.
That is a style choice that is it pops up across anime, and sometimes it's as bad as changing from 2D animated characters during conversation to 3D characters during
Yeah.
combat and fights, where it's very jarring.
Oh, weird.
This
Yeah.
one doing it more for a set piece thing where ships have that very specific look and space has a certain feel to it. I understand what they're going for, and again, this is one of the better applications where it is a hard line between the two. And again, the story was enough to get me involved in that thing. Again, I love the story. I just want more.
Yeah, and I don't think the ships are the thing that you should be looking at. I just
Exactly.
wish that they had done a little more cell shading over top of those 3D elements to kind of give it more of the hand look. But overall, yeah, I think it was good. But I would have rather seen more things like black, right? Like at least another sort of experimental outside of the box sort of thing. But I guess again, maybe it being the only one in this episode in this anthology series, it probably makes it stand out a lot more, right? So
Mm.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about Visions in general, right? I think it's so incredibly refreshing to see this galaxy that we know and love in new ways, and it feels like something entirely different, but then also so Star Wars at the same time, and it's this blend of so much of what, like I think you said this, Justin, so much of what's inspired Star Wars and Star Wars itself blended together. And
mhm.
I think it's going to pop. I think it's also going to pop for hardcore fans too, though. Like from a story perspective, in the sense that like you're going to see things that Like when I saw a roast Nuna on the
Yeah.
screen, I was excited. When I saw Ewoks on the screen, I was excited. When I recognized Mos Eisley Cantina, I got stoked. Right, but then they take us to new places around the galaxy that we've never seen before. We've got planet Zenerita. We've got there's the Gygoran species with the Woopas guy in episode 2, who is just one of the most anime looking characters I've ever seen in Star Wars, even within all these anime stories and visions. But I think with all this stuff being surrounded by the themes that make Star Wars is why we love it so much from a story perspective. We're going to get to favorite episodes in just a moment. I will just say there was also one more episode. You guys already spoke enough about The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope. I absolutely feel the same way. I think those ships look dated, and I also just I think, Darcy, you said it earlier when we were talking offline. It was too much of a bridge between. It should have still been its own story, and the first one was its own story. So
Yes.
I completely agree with you there. But I think the other one that didn't quite work for me was The Bird of Paradise by Polygon Pictures. This was one that when we saw the art for it back at D23, I really did pop off for. I think the whole audience popped off because it is very different. But I listen, I loved how it visually represents the struggles of a Jedi and the battle, the internal battle between light and dark. I think that's gorgeous. I love the idea of seeing through the Force. Beautiful. I really didn't like this character at all. I thought the main character was just incredibly whiny, and I understand
anime.
that she's a
I know.
she's a Padawan.
And it's Ahsoka. Like, he's
yes.
explaining why I hated early Ahsoka. And it's just like,
Sure.
that's just what Padawans are. They're
Sure.
whiny
Right.
little brats.
Yeah.
They're kids.
Yeah.
I think
Look at
they're so
Anakin.
much stronger than
He
everything
was a
else.
whiny little
So-
bitch. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so-
But I just
yeah.
for me, I felt like the strongest ones were some of those continuation episodes. I think the Lost ones or the Dual Payback, I think really worked for me as sequels.
The Lost one was cool. I will say the Lost one was cool. I did like it. I think the Bird of Paradise. I agree with you. I appreciate it for its visual look. It's really well done. I think the one thing I didn't like about it is the pacing, if you will, and the sort of breaking. It just felt like moments didn't get to live as long, and I just wish it was one fluid moment from start to finish of like this soul being cleansed through a loss of sight, and just the idea of finding oneself on the other end. And there's just there's a really interesting thing that they're playing there with nature and ourself and our connection to that, and then also infusing the Force. And I think it's just that was really beautiful about it. I just didn't like the sort of segmented pacing of it. It felt really off to me. And again, that might just be, again, you want to think about it in the lens of it could just be a product of the type of story that we're not used to on the Western side of the world seeing. We have chapters, but it feels more. We have segments, but it's usually in a longer form, not in a shorter form. I think
that's what I was going to say.
thing.
I didn't mind the way they chopped it up and told us days, because it helps to show the passage of time. It's just the days flew by so fast because they're in this 17-minute or even less, I think.
It was 17 minutes. You're absolutely
17-minute
minute
episode. It's just you fly through like a week's worth of time so quickly. Again, those moments don't have time to stand, and that's where I was wanting more from that series, or that specific entry in this season.
Well, listen, that's enough of the dark side for us. Let's get back to the light. I want to hear from both of you before we get to our final scores. Favorite episodes out of the 9 episodes we got?
I have too many. Like, I have 4.
Yeah, same here. Thank you.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like,
Can you narrow it down?
4.
Narrow it down to 2 even?
Like, I will say I have it to 4, or and it's just one thought per. It's like, it's literally like, okay, so we already talked about the Dual Payback. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's just style and substance. It's beautiful. Continues the story. I love it. I mentioned the Song of Four Wings. Cyberpunk energy off the chart. Crazy hyper anime. Loved it. I like Bounty Hunters, Yuko's Treasure, and The Smuggler because it feels like a balance of Star Wars and anime, like just infused, like perfectly. And it's like that. Some of it's that sort of Ghibli style anime, and some of it's also just really traditional anime where it's just like 2D art and it's just camera movements rather than actual animation. And then we talked about it. Black. That one slaps. Like, just it's jazzy, it's wild, it's so experimental, and like you said, Nate, it's like the most interesting abstract way of looking at Star Wars, and like the smallest part of Star Wars if you think about what the
Yeah,
focus is. It's
yeah.
like it's and really makes you feel for that smallest part of of the war in Star Wars.
hmm Darcy, how about yourself?
Yeah, again, I have a hard time picking. I will say Black is special. That one I feel it stands on its own. Away from this, it could have been released on its own, and people would still talk about it as much as they are going to talk about it. But to me, again, you mentioned the Smuggler, and that one felt the most Ghibli. Some of the character designs and just the way the world came to life
Yeah.
as you go through the episode. I really love that. Uh, and I also the Song of Four Wings was on my high list. The Payback, it's all good. It's all
It's
so good. Like
it's all perfect, man.
I love anime, and this, like I said again, explores so many different avenues of anime and the way that they approach animation and storytelling through characters and the character design. Just everything about it is so good, and all the visual highlights. It felt like this is made by Star Wars fans. Just they speak a different language and just have the most amazing art to show us. So like I loved it all.
I'll split mine up a little bit. I mean, yes, the dual payback, phenomenal. I want a whole series of that, please. And I think it's possible. I think we could get there with how
Hmm.
popular those characters are. The Smuggler, yes, absolutely is up there in my top four. Um, I think my favorite in terms of the overall with the music and everything. Um, I think it's tied. I can't. It's too hard. But I loved the Lost Ones. I'm going to bring it up again. I think the music in that episode, composed by Kevin Penkin, reminds me so much of another Kevin Kiner's score from Ahsoka. If you listen back during the credits and even throughout the episode, it's just like this is so Ahsoka coded, and I absolutely loved it. My favorite all time episode of this season of Volume 3, I agree. It's Black. It's Black by David Production. It's such a wild ride. I'm obsessed with. I haven't stopped thinking about it since I watched it a few days ago, and I just think it's such an interesting look at the relentless nature of war. I recommend watching it with headphones on, which is what I did, and
Yeah.
I think like you said, Justin, it showcases the perspective of a very specific character, and I feel like my interpretation, and this is what I love about it when we talk about it as like modern or interpretive art, is like it my interpretation is that it was this one character losing their mind as they're fighting their own death. And I just it's this character like slowly trying so hard to fight every element of dying, and we get to see what's going on inside the brain at that moment, and it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
so
It's exactly
cool.
what I thought. Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
And I think
I
that's what's
yeah.
great about it. It's so like it that's what's great about experimental art in general
Mhm.
is the interpretation of it, right? And in the sense of like in the space of like films or shorts where you get experimental animation, the layers of it are just so meaningful,
Mhm.
right? And you can be abstract while still making a point. And I think that's what this does really really well, right? It is talking about exactly what you said, like the death and the mind and the soul being lost in that process and being torn and between memory and anguish. It's incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's unreal. And I think it just highlights what Visions can do as a series, and as well as the extremes that they can take Star Wars. Like we can do this. Like it's possible. And I just think that's wild. Yeah, absolutely adored it.
I will say two things. I wonder if that episode, how well that episode will perform,
Right?
because it is pretty abstract, but
Yeah.
putting it at the end might make the most sense. So I hope it does do well. We don't need a series of that, but we could use more shorts of that. And the other thing too, just in terms of watching all of these, I really feel like I need to watch more anime. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I need to watch more because I appreciate the art and the storytelling um so much. So I think that's the one thing, having like again bringing it back to like the idea of returning to anime and Japan and the storytelling there, it just is such a great reminder of introducing others to more stories outside of Star Wars in that style and in that, tradition.
Absolutely. Darcy, any quick recommendations for Justin to watch?
I mean, the Boy and the Beast. Someone, a voice actors from that, was also in this series. That comes to mind. Your Name is a great, uh, like rom com, but
Ooh.
kind of sci-fi mix. There's a lot of good stuff out there. If you just the anime movies nowadays are they go incredible. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's what
yeah,
I want
like
to
Boy and
watch.
the
Yeah.
Beast is a great place to start. And then if you watch that, I'm sure there'll be a bunch of recommendations that I would also suggest, but I am too stoned to think of right now.
No worries. That's
I love
that's
it.
completely
I
fine.
love it.
I like one to start with. So that's good.
There you go. Well, let's get to our final thoughts and recommendations and score, which we're going to be rating this season, this volume of Star Wars Visions on a scale of 1 to 5 brush strokes, like the opening, the brush strokes. I thought that would be good. Darcy, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, again, I really enjoyed this season. While it might not be my favorite season of Visions, it doesn't mean I like it any less, really, because they're all so good, and the chance to get see Star Wars through all these different lenses and animation styles really just excites me because, like you said, anything is possible for Star Wars, and these shorts are just proof of that. And I love that we're getting more, and we can hopefully we continue to get more. So, yeah, this is an easy 5 out of 5. Uh, vi- um, I just forgot the word brushstroke. Wow. Okay. This is an easy 5 out of 5 brushstrokes for me because it just, again, it's Star Wars and anime. It just goes together. It's like peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't know that. Can't eat peanut butter.
Oh, yeah.
But
Look,
chocolate
peanut
and
butter.
caramel is what I think of.
There you
There
go.
we go.
Yeah,
Chocolate and
It's a good
caramel.
marriage. Good marriage. Yeah, I'm at this point I'm going to sound like a broken record, but just, I've said it through every single review that we've done, and I'll say it again now. Star Wars Visions Volume 3 continues to be the best example of how expansive and just creatively rich the Star Wars galaxy can be. It bridges two cultures, like the mythic storytelling of Star Wars and the expressive art style of anime, to just create something that feels universal and incredibly personal. I think each episode is just, it offers a new perspective on the Force, destiny, or even just the idea of legacy and what that could mean. And it just proves that Star Wars thrives when it's embracing experimentation and new forms of storytelling. Again, come back to this thing I've been talking about with Star Wars, is telling new Star Wars stories through the lens of genre helps to make Star Wars stronger. And I think this is an excellent example of that, wholeheartedly, with this idea of, anime is a medium more than anything else, than it is like just like how animation is, but it is using that medium in a whole new way. And even though some of the episodes might have resonated more with me than others, I think this volume is just a stunning achievement and an absolute love letter to just storytelling itself, not just Star Wars, but storytelling itself. And it's a very easy 5 out of 5 for me, for just continuing to push Star Wars forward and reminding us how much more there is to explore in this galaxy. Just like endless.
I was gonna say, like, Star Wars at its core has always been a genre exploration. I mean, it's a boy meets a wizard and goes to save a princess who's like, held captive. It's just a high fantasy story set in space, and
Mhm.
every story from there is just, it's a cool space. Is a cool place to tell stories. So you can tell any story you want. Just slap Star Wars on it, and we'll watch it.
100%. 100%. Um, yeah, I'm right there with both of you. I think overall this isn't my favorite season of Star Wars Visions. They don't all work on the same level as like a volume 1 for me, that still kind of stays up there for me. And maybe that was just because it was something so new, and this is where we're continuing, so it doesn't feel as fresh. But then we still have some episodes that do feel so fresh, and getting to hear new styles of music in Star Wars and new ways to see visuals, like in episode 9 in Black, is so refreshing. Again, it's so refreshing to get Star Wars that is just so separate, so different than the stories that we know and love, but still stay so true to those themes. I think 5 out of the 9 episodes really, really worked for me, and I think the other 4 are visually impressive that I would watch them again, even if the story or the characters didn't click with me as much. So yeah, I think ultimately, this does, like you said, Justin, what Star Wars should do. It should continue to push forward the storytelling and move in different directions. This is what I want as a Star Wars fan. I think this is what we collectively want as Star Wars fans, and I think it's what the Star Wars fans, the Star Wars audience, really wants. More fresh Star Wars. This is it. I'm giving Star Wars Visions Volume 3 4.5 out of 5 brushstrokes. Shout out to Brushstroke as well, our colleague Brushstroke. That's a Bad Batch a callback for Megan there. But that is it for our spoiler-free batches. That is it for our spoiler-free review for Star Wars Visions Volume 3. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to share your thoughts on this series or any of the movies or series we cover, well, let me just call out through the Force to Justin so he can let you know how you can reach us across the stars.
Hello there. You can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram and TikTok at wearegeekcentric.
Keep in mind, we have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies and TV shows, including our recent recap of the Toronto International Film Festival, where we share our thoughts on our first ever experience at TIFF. That episode is out now. We've also got our recent spoiler-free reviews from TIFF, our TIFF reviews for Frankenstein, The Smashing Machine, Nirvana the band, the show, the movie, are all out right now. We also have spoiler-free reviews for Peacemaker Season 2, Tron Ares, Marvel Animations, Marvel Zombies, and Gen V Season 2. And we have a spoiler-filled review out now for Peacemaker Season 2, where we get into all of our spoilery thoughts on this latest season from James Gunn and company. Plus, we've got some great interviews to check out, like our most recent interview with Marvel Zombie showrunner Brian Andrews and executive producer and head of Marvel Animation and Marvel Television, Brad Winderbaum. You can check that interview out right now, either on your podcast service of choice or over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. And I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling a little hungry. You feel hungry? I'm feeling a little hungry. If you're feeling a bit hungry, we also launched something brand new. You can check out our new side adventure, Eatcentric, where we explore food, culture, and the geeky bites that bring people together. Check out our recent Ghost Taco post if you're willing to let yourself get a little hungry. You're going to get hungry. I had people messaging me already saying, I just ordered some of those tacos. They were so delicious. So you can catch all that goodness over on Instagram at We Are Eatcentric. Again, that's We Are Eatcentric. Guys, it's the fall. It's getting cold, but we're going to heat it up. We're going to heat it up together with Stranger Things Season 5 coming up. We got movies like Predator Badlands, Zootopia 2, and Avatar Fire and Ash. For those who have been listening closely, I have been saying fire and water a lot in the last few reviews that we might have done. As a correction, it is fire and ash. So yeah, stay tuned. We've got a few more TIFF 50 reviews on the way as well. You can join us in all that geek-centric goodness. Darcy, Justin, thank you so much for joining me for this wonderfully animated and spoiler-free review. And as we say, love ya.
Laters.
Peace.